Hello and welcome to the Sally Awards. My name is Duchesne. Every year for the past 27 years, the Ordway has honored Minnesota artists through the Sally Awards. Named after Sally Ordway Irvin, whose vision led to the creation of this beautiful theater, the Sally Awards reflect her belief that the arts are for everybody and that the Ordway should be home to the entire community. That vision of inclusion still guides programming here at the Ordway today. This year, we were unable to be together in person, but at this particular moment in time, I would argue that the arts have never been more vital. In the words of the late U.S. Representative Barbara Jordan, the arts are a response to our individuality and our nature, and help to shape our identity. The arts are not a frill and should not be treated as such. They have the potential to become the driving force for healing division and divisiveness. The killing of George Floyd has awakened millions of people to protest racial injustice. It has also been a catalyst for artistic expression, inspiring new works of art, music, movement, and spoken word that have opened our eyes to things we may not have seen before. Some of the most profound artistic work has emerged from Black artists right here in Minnesota. We are fortunate to live in a state that has enabled artists to create work that transcends race, gender, class, and ethnicity. But this year, we want to specifically recognize and celebrate the work of Black men whose artistry has had an impact all across our state. Some of them have been previously honored with the Sally Award. We also want to lift up the work of 3 artists whose commitment to racial and social justice has been further inspired by recent events. Let's listen to their stories.
Hold on, just a little while longer.
It has been a struggle. In these times during the pandemic and the times after the death of George Floyd, and every time with Breonna Taylor, over and over again, the pain that I feel is so deep and so real. The physical pain from that. And then with the pandemic on top of it, it's been hard to show my love and appreciation for folks in the same way that we were able to do before the pandemic. How important it is to hug, to touch, to come into contact with folks. But at the same time, we have to really celebrate our resilience and our ability to continue to pop through this. Many times when I work over a long period of time. I've done some public art pieces that have taken like 10 years to actually get on the street. But when George Floyd was murdered, I knew I had to add my voice to the whole issue of thinking a new way about public safety and thinking about a way to remember George Floyd. And I knew I had to do that with much more immediacy. So within 5 days, I created a stencil that, actually 2 sets of stencils and put them on my website, through Instagram, put out the word that this was a free download that folks could cut out to create their own portrait of George Floyd. And so I created a set of stencils, different sizes, that I was able to bomb plywood boards all along University Avenue, along with Lake Street. And so that was one of the ways that I could add my voice.
Well, what's old is new. The Sankofa principle, looking back to move forward. So we look back to the prolific words of Fannie Lou Hamer, who over 50 years ago told the world at the 1964 Democratic National Convention, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." This is a woman who, on foot, in the dark, backwoods Mississippi, registered thousands of people, beaten and assaulted by the Ku Klux Klan, by the police. Some things are not new, okay? But fearless. When you see pictures of Fannie Lou, and we have some pictures of her in our Sick and Tired video, you see no fear in that sister's eyes, okay? An African warrior, queen princess, who was in the vanguard of the movement. So many people use the term nowadays, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, but don't know who to attribute it to. It's like, that's Fannie Lou. And we are, Sounds of Blackness, so blessed to have been in touch with, and we are now regularly with the remaining family member, Cookie Hamer, and having the blessings of the Hamer family and estate to use Sick and Tired, and especially since Sounds of Blackness is donating a portion from any record sales and any T-shirt sales and all that to the George Floyd Scholarship Fund. So again, it's part of the African tradition, Ubuntu, I am because we are. So we, at Sounds of Blackness, we don't exist in a vacuum, we don't create in a vacuum. This village birthed and nurtured us. And so Paul Robeson, of course, told us all true artists have a responsibility to their people. So Sounds of Blackness takes that very seriously. And every movement, as you know, Queen Robin, for civil rights, always there was a primary theme song. In the civil rights movement, yeah, there was Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around and Oh Freedom Over Me, but everybody knows the principal theme song of the civil rights movement, We Shall Overcome. Fast forward, a decade or so to the Black Power and Black Pride movement. There was To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, and Donny Hathaway, Take It From Me, One Day We'll All Be Free. But everybody knows the most prolific song in our history was by the Godfather, James Brown, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. We forget how revolutionary that was, because really at the time, vestiges of slave mentality were still rampant in our community. And with many, it was more offensive to be called black than to be called the N-word. One of the things Sounds tries to do today is to incorporate that legacy, that consciousness, especially into our young generation now and hip-hop artists. Have your party music, have all that up, but always be about the movement and have that consciousness and about the people and about the struggle. Sounds of Blackness is trying to do that now with Sick and Tired in the vanguard of today's movement.
What does that mean, you married?
Ladies love it.
Oh, you don't think I know how it works with the ladies and money?
We always did art with a social change purpose. It was always for that. We didn't have the resources to do the next steps. It was about raising consciousness, about that sort of stuff, teaching history. My daughter, who is running the Penumbra Racial Healing Center right now, came right up through it. So she's done every job in that place. And she understands the reason we were doing the art. This isn't frivolous art. This is art that is meant to change something. I like to quote Brecht when he said that art isn't a mirror that we hold up to reality, rather a hammer and anvil that we use to change it. So this is art that's supposed to shake you and move you along. I think that the times demand more of the art. It demands that the art be contextualized in a way that we didn't have to contextualize it. We knew what was going on. We were right there inside of it, and so the art grew right out of that. Today, we need I think, another approach. We've got to start taking care of ourselves. She isn't abandoning the art. She's still using theater as the crucible in which to build this stuff and put it up, mix it all together. But she recognizes the holistic nature of treatment and care of the individual. And she wants to do massage and yoga, all kinds of stuff, because we know that racism is heavy. Racism hurts not only the psyche, it hurts the physical body. You got high blood pressure, you got, all kinds of things that this kind of pressure will give us. And she's seeking to take care of much of that.
Hold on a little while longer.
Through the struggle comes creativity and perseverance. Mahmoud El-Khadi told us from day one to be more than just a band or a group of artists, to be a cultural institution, and that to keep as our legacy being in the vanguard of the movement, and that's what we've been taught to do.
In times like these, with anxiety all around us, it's no surprise to see artists engaging the moment, opening our hearts and minds to see the world through their eyes. Thanks to the Sally Awards, the Ordway has lifted up over 100 artists and arts advocates whose creativity and insights have challenged and inspired us. People like Tecumseh Aiken, whose vision of public artwork is driven by his desire to heal the hearts and souls of our communities by evoking a positive spirit. T. Michael Rambo, an award-winning actor, vocalist, educator, and community organizer. Reverend Carl Walker and Grant West, co-founders of Walker West Music Academy, a treasured institution providing affordable music instruction inspired by the African American cultural experience. The late J. Otis Powell, a beloved writer, performance artist, curator, and mentor. And the jazz pianist, James Samuel Cornbread Harris, still going strong at 93. Being honored with the Sally Award is a very public recognition of achievement, of course. But the awards process also reinforces the connections among artists, offering a level of peer recognition and support that is impossible to measure.
One of the folks that nominated me was Gary Hines, because he preceded me. And then you have this opportunity to design the award ceremony. How you have a role in that, and you can have a speaker come in. So I asked Lou to give to present me to the community. Now, the award was great, but getting the recognition from Gary Hines and from Lou Bellamy was even more important. That recognition from the community. I mean, I wouldn't be here if I embarrassed you all. I wouldn't be here right now if I was going down a different path.
My speech was naming all of the people who brought me where I am and who aren't standing here with me. Theater is something that you don't do alone. You got to have other people. All the other art, you can go in your bathroom or write it down and do all that, but for theater, you need other people. And I named them alive and dead. And I remember the crowd being a little bit aghast at that. But that was important to me, to bring those people into the room with me, because I just know I don't do this stuff alone, you know. Too many people have given up too much and worked too hard.
It's an honor beyond words, first of all. Don't even feel like I'm worthy, but it's an honor beyond words to even be able to call these friends and brothers colleagues and to share the blessing of having received this award with them. But again, for me, the reward is on behalf of Sounds of Blackness singers and band. And you know, that's all only by the grace of God and by the support of people like you and our community, and by the Ordway. You know, we can make all the music we want, but if we don't have a venue to present it, the scripture says, how will they hear without a preacher? Well, when it comes to music, how will they hear without a concert hall, without a venue to do that? So we send that, Sounds of Blackness, that gratitude and thanks back to you, to my brothers, colleagues, all of them, and to the Ordway for providing the platform for us to present the music of the Black experience.
Let me hear